Hello everyone, welcome to our continued discussion of non-visual senses. This time we're talking about the vestibular system. The system that lets us know basically where our head is in space and if it's moving or not. So there's two main structures we're going to talk about housed within your inner ear that do pretty similar things. We have vestibular sacs and semicircular canals. You can see here that if we take a look at the cochlea, right near that in the inner ear, we have these semicircular canals, which are what they sound like. They are semicircular shaped canals that are filled with endolymph. We also have the vestibular sacs, which you can see right here, the utricle and the saccule. These all work in sort of like with a similar mechanism. So you can see here the sort of general idea of how these function is as your head tilts from one side to the other, the fluid will be caused to move around, right? So we have this endolymph that's filling all of these sacs and semicircular canals, and whenever you move your head around, the fluid sloshes sort of around in the other direction, which is going to stimulate the receptor organs that we have in these sensory organs. So basically, within your semicircular canals, you have hair cells, which are similar to the hair cells that are in your cochlea. They are encased in copula, these sort of fine filaments that extend out from the hair cell. So the copula is kind of like this gelatinous mass that houses the hair cells within it. And these hair cells are mechanoreceptors, as I mentioned, similar to the ones in our cochlea. So when the endolymph sort of rushes over this gelatinous mass, it's going to displace the copula and the hair cells within it. And as it sort of resets itself, it's going to stimulate these hair cells and give us some information about the way that our head is moving. So this is the sense organ in the semicircular canals that helps us detect changes in head rotation because it's sensitive to the way that our head is moving around. In fact, your semicircular canals are the reason why you feel dizzy after you spin, right? This is a fluid-based system where the motion of fluid is sort of delayed due to the momentum of moving your head. And so if you spin around in a circle and you abruptly stop, the fluid, the endolymph here in your semicircular canals keeps moving and keeps stimulating the hair cells within your vestibular canals, or your semicircular canals, excuse me. So as that's sort of a time-lagged process, as the fluid continues rushing after you stop moving until the momentum sort of dies out, you get that continued discordant feedback of, your eyes and your muscles telling you that you're not moving, but your vestibular system telling you that you are still in motion. So in addition, we have the vestibular sacs, which work in a similar fashion, but a little bit different. So we have this filamentous base that contains the cilia, the hair fibers coming out of the hair cells, which are again mechanoreceptors, similar to the other types that we've talked about. We have autoconia, which is basically just like a little calcium carbonate rock that is sitting on top of this filamentous base. And it sort of gets moved around as you move your head. So these these vestibular sacs are important for knowing the way that your head is being tilted. So as you tilt your head in various directions, it will sort of pull on the autoconia, and will cause the pulling of these hair cells. The mechanoreceptors, so they respond to the physical stimulation of things being pulled as you're sort of moving your head about. Okay, let's touch very briefly on the vestibular pathway. So the vestibular and cochlear nerves constitute two branches of the eighth cranial nerve, also known as the auditory nerve. So cranial nerve 8 has fibers from both vestibular and cochlear nerve pathways. So all the information from the inner ear, be that about hearing, or be that about vestibular sense, are coming through cranial nerve. So the cell bodies that constitute the vestibular portion of cranial nerve 8 are located in the vestibular ganglion, which is a nodule on the vestibular nerve. Okay, just to show this kind of in a different way, we have our input coming in from cranial nerve 8 that synapses along the vestibular nuclei, which are distributed throughout the hindbrain, cerebellum, pons, and even in the medulla. You can see that there is a synapse initially here in those vestibular nuclei, and then the projections from that nucleus go to a number of different places. So these projections allow for the coordination of various, aspects of maintaining balance and motor movements. We have projections down to the spinal cord, as well as to a few cranial nerves like oculomotor, trochlear, and abducens that are going to help with that sort of thing. We also have projections up into, of course, the thalamus, our little sensory relay station, before being sent on to the vestibular area in the cerebral cortex. Okay, that's it for our brief discussion of the vestibular system. I will see you